Our top focus at this hour, as tensions simmer between Taiwan and China, US President Joe Biden has said that he has spoken to Chinese President Xi Jinping about Taiwan and that they agreed to abide by the Taiwan agreement. Listen in.
Any comments towards China counter-provocation over Taiwan?
Well, I've spoken with Xi about Taiwan. We agree we'll abide by the Taiwan agreement. That's where we are. And we made it clear that I don't think he should be doing anything other than abiding by the agreement.
Biden seemed to be referring to the long-standing US policy of officially recognizing Beijing rather than Taipei. The Taiwan Relations Act also makes it clear that the US decision to establish diplomatic ties with Beijing instead of Taipei rests upon the expectation that the future of Taiwan will be solved peacefully. China claims Taiwan as its own territory, which should be taken by force if necessary. Taiwan, on the other hand, identifies itself as an independent country and is willing to defend its freedoms and democracy. In the past week, Taiwan has reported 148 Chinese warplanes entering its airspace, increasing tensions once again and prompting Washington to urge China to stop its military aggression against Taiwan. Taiwan's defense minister has now said that military tensions with China are at their worst point in more than 40 years. He said that China already has the ability to invade Taiwan and it will be capable of mounting a full-scale invasion by 2025.
要犯台的话，他目前有这能力，都有的但要看怎么一个结局。所以我们不做任何挑衅但如果把他激怒了，就跟我们人一样，你把我激怒了，我手上能力我也会发挥出来。 所以2025是我们研判要全面我们这样研判的。
Meanwhile, Biden's national security advisor Jake Sullivan is set to hold talks with China's top diplomat Yang Jiechi in Switzerland, upholding a pledge by both countries to boost communication amid a deepening rivalry. The Zurich meeting is a follow-up on Biden's September 9th call with the Chinese counterpart. Now, that call had ended nearly 7 months of a silence between the two leaders, and they discussed the need to ensure that competition between the two countries did not escalate into a conflict. But talks between the officials of the two countries has shown little concrete progress, and the two remain in conflict on a number of issues, from trade to the Chinese incursion in the South China Sea and, of course, all matters related to Taiwan. Tensions also simmered after the US announced a new trilateral partnership with the UK and Australia called AUKUS. As the two nations seek to engage with each other, the month-end G20 summit in Italy is being seen as a possible venue for a face-to-face Biden-Xi meeting. But whether that will happen or not remains to be seen. Now, for more details about this news development, our correspondent Richard Kimber is now joining us live from Hong Kong. Richard, thanks so much for joining us. Now, we've seen a rise in Chinese incursion in Taiwanese territory of late at an alarming pace, so much so that Taiwan fears Chinese invasion by 2025. And now the US president says that he has spoken to the Chinese president about Taiwan. Tell us more about the same.
Yes, the US says that its support of Taiwan is rock solid and that it will not be shaken by any Chinese dismissal of its support. It says under that Taiwan agreement that it has a commitment to Taiwan that it will uphold irrespective of any actions on China's part showing military assertiveness in the region. China, on the other hand, dismissing all of the criticism it's facing, principally from the US, over these actions. It, of course, says that Taiwan is part of its territory, so it has the right to fly planes there whenever it likes. And talking to political analysts here, they say that they don't think this will escalate into full-blown military conflict because they say it's in nobody's interests for that to happen, not least the US, that's just been entangled in a complex withdrawal from Afghanistan. And also they say it's not in President Xi Jinping's interests for that to happen either because of his longer-term strategy to try to maintain power over the Greater China region. He didn't want that, they say, to be undermined by any short-term power grab to get Taiwan back as quickly as possible.
Right, Richard. Now, you're in Hong Kong, which has also seen pro-democracy protests against Chinese rule. And now Taiwan seems to be pulling out all stops to counter Beijing's aggression. How do you see this situation unfolding?
Well, the timing is crucial right now, because the other thing analysts are saying here in Hong Kong is that they look at the situation in Taiwan and they see that this coming Sunday it's Taiwan's National Day celebrations. This is a very similar situation that we would have seen in Hong Kong a couple of years ago, where there's widespread nationalist, or in this case local support for a democratic system. In Hong Kong, of course, that's effectively being crushed by Beijing's political reforms here. The concerns in Taiwan that that exact same thing will happen over there, and that's why analysts say that Beijing's been upping its military assertiveness this past few days ahead of those National Day celebrations. They say that Beijing's sending a clear message to Taiwan that, just as has happened here in Hong Kong, it does not want any sense of nationalist fervour in Taiwan to spill over and become something of an international affair, whereby there are more allies, just like the US, speaking up on Taiwan's behalf, engendering a sense of confidence in the long term that Taiwan can proclaim long-term independence from China. That's why these analysts say all this has been happening in the last few days. The concern, though, in Taiwan that's somewhat different to here in Hong Kong is because of the military nature of these incursions and the fact that Taiwan has its own military forces at the ready, unlike here in Hong Kong, that it could just take some small element of mistake or element of increased aggression on the part of either of those sides to effectively send this into a much higher escalated conflict. And that's something that analysts here say is a real possibility if things are not brought under more diplomatic control in the coming days.
Richard Kimber, our correspondent from Hong Kong, thank you so much for all those insights, and thanks for joining us on WION at this hour. WION World is now available in your country. Download the app now and get all the news updates on the move.